At its core, a tariff is simply a tax imposed by a government on imported goods and services. But while the definition is straightforward, the implications are anything but simple. The main goal: make foreign products pricier, nudging consumers and businesses to buy local instead. This can help domestic industries grow, but it also means shoppers might pay more at the checkout. For centuries, tariffs have been used to generate government revenue, protect domestic industries, and retaliate against unfair trade practices. They've shaped the rise and fall of economies, influenced wars, and even sparked political movements. But while the mechanics are simple, the effects are complex. Tariffs can ripple through the economy in unexpected ways, affecting jobs, wages, and even the choices available to consumers. For example, if the US slaps a 25% tariff on imported steel, American companies face higher costs they might absorb, pass to customers, or avoid by buying domestic. Each option comes with its own set of trade-offs for workers, businesses, and families. Each choice triggers a ripple of economic consequences. What starts as a single policy decision can quickly spread, impacting industries far beyond steel. In today's global economy, supply chains stretch across dozens of countries. A tariff on one component can disrupt entire industries, raising prices and reducing competitiveness. Even small changes can have big effects in a world so interconnected. This is the paradox. Tariffs meant to protect can also harm. They can save some jobs while putting others at risk, and sometimes the costs outweigh the benefits. The tool is blunt, but its impact is far-reaching. It touches everything from the price of groceries to the fate of entire industries. When we discuss the Supreme Court's recent decision on President Trump's tariffs, remember, this isn't just about a tax. It's about the power to shape the nation's economic destiny. It's about a policy that reshapes business decisions, consumer prices, and America's global relationships. Every tariff decision sends signals to trading partners and competitors alike. The debate over tariffs is really a debate about government's role in the economy and the limits of presidential power. It's a question of who gets to decide how America competes in the world. It's a conversation with profound implications for America's future prosperity. The choices made today will echo for generations, and it's a story that's far from over. The debate, the consequences, and the search for balance continue to shape our world. The Trump presidency marked a sharp break from the trade policies that had defined the United States for decades. For years, both Republican and Democratic administrations had championed free trade, believing it would boost economic growth and strengthen global alliances. But Trump's approach was different. He saw free trade as a threat rather than an opportunity, and he was determined to rewrite the rules. Trump viewed trade as a zero-sum game, blaming it for lost manufacturing jobs, shuttered factories, and a weakened U.S. industrial base. He argued that previous deals had hollowed out American communities and left workers behind. His answer: aggressive tariffs wielded as leverage to force change and protect what he called national security interests. These tariffs were not just economic tools, but political statements. The administration used Section 301 of the Trade Act to target Chinese goods, citing unfair practices, like intellectual property theft and forced technology transfers, and Section 232 to tax steel and aluminum, even from close allies, on national security grounds, sparking outrage abroad and at home. Most controversially, Trump invoked the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEPA, to impose sweeping tariffs after declaring a national emergency over fentanyl trafficking, expanding presidential power in ways never seen before. Critics argued IEPA was meant for targeted sanctions, not broad tariffs affecting entire economies, and warned of dangerous precedents for future presidents. The result: a tit-for-tat trade war, especially with China, which retaliated with tariffs on U.S. goods, hurting American farmers, exporters, and entire industries dependent on global supply chains. While the tariffs raised billions for the Treasury, studies showed U.S. importers and consumers bore most of the cost, leading to higher prices at home and uncertainty for businesses. The legal and economic fallout set the stage for a Supreme Court showdown over presidential authority, as lawmakers and citizens questioned the limits of executive power. That's how we arrived at the case that would redefine the limits of executive power in trade and potentially reshape the balance between Congress and the White House for years to come. The Supreme Court's decision sent shockwaves through Washington, ruling that Trump's use of IEEPA for broad tariffs was an overreach. The court found the president can't use emergency powers to impose sweeping tariffs unrelated to the specific threat. This is a major check on executive power, reaffirming that Congress, not the president, controls broad trade policy. The ruling doesn't touch tariffs under other laws, like Section 301 or 232, but specifically targets the IEEPA-based tariffs. The message: even in national security matters, presidential power has limits. The judiciary has reasserted Congress's authority in international trade. The immediate impact: thousands of U.S. companies can now seek refunds for billions paid under the invalidated IEEPA tariffs. This sudden reversal is sending shockwaves through boardrooms and accounting departments across the country as businesses scramble to understand the full scope of what they're owed and how to claim it. Major retailers, tech firms, and manufacturers are lining up to reclaim those funds, a potential windfall that could fuel investment or pay down debt. For some, these refunds could mean the difference between expansion and layoffs, or between launching a new product and shelving it for another year. For consumers, the removal of these tariffs should mean lower prices on everything from electronics to furniture, easing inflationary pressures. Shoppers may soon notice more competitive pricing, and families could find their budgets stretching a bit further at the checkout. For workers, the picture is mixed. Those in import-reliant industries benefit from lower costs, while some manufacturing sectors may face renewed foreign competition. Job security could improve in some areas, but others may need to adapt quickly to shifting market dynamics. The ruling highlights the trade-offs in any tariff policy. Every decision creates winners and losers, and the challenge is finding the right balance for the economy as a whole. Perhaps most importantly, the decision restores predictability for businesses, allowing for more stable planning and investment. Companies can now make long-term decisions with greater confidence, knowing the rules won't change overnight. After years of uncertainty, companies can finally chart a clearer path forward. This clarity could encourage innovation and growth across multiple sectors. The Supreme Court's action brings clarity to a chaotic trade landscape, setting a precedent that will shape future policy debates and legal challenges. It's a win for economic stability, even if the benefits and challenges are unevenly distributed. Not every business or worker will feel the effects equally, but the overall direction is toward greater certainty. The effects will ripple through the economy for months to come, influencing everything from hiring decisions to consumer confidence. And the debate over tariffs is far from settled. As policymakers and business leaders weigh the next steps, the conversation about America's role in global trade will only intensify. The Biden administration now faces the task of halting IEEPA tariff collections and processing a flood of refund claims, a logistical headache for customs and the Treasury. Politically, the White House may frame this as a return to rule of law and stable trade policy, while Trump and allies decry the decision as undermining U.S. leverage. Trump is likely to seek alternative legal avenues, pushing for new legislation or using other statutes to restore tariff authority. For businesses, the focus shifts to claiming refunds and reassessing global supply chains. Some may reverse costly changes, others will diversify further. Lobbying in Washington will intensify. Industries once protected by tariffs want new safeguards, while those hurt by tariffs will fight to keep them off. The Supreme Court's decision has triggered a new scramble in trade policy. The outcome will shape U.S. trade for years. The battle lines are redrawn, but the fight is just beginning. Globally, America's trading partners, especially in Europe and Asia, welcome the Supreme Court's decision as a return to predictability. The EU sees it as vindication and a chance to resolve other disputes, while China notes the easing of pressure but knows core issues remain. For Canada and Mexico, the ruling removes a major irritant and reinforces the value of negotiated trade agreements. Developing nations and the WTO hail the decision as a win for multilateralism and a check on unilateral U.S. power. The message: domestic legal limits can restrain protectionism. The world is watching to see if the U.S. will stick to rules-based trade or find new ways to disrupt the system. The global trading order just got a little more stable, but uncertainty lingers. Even as one tariff tool is struck down, President Trump opens a new front, announcing 10% tariffs on goods from 8 northern European nations, tied to a renewed push to buy Greenland. The tariffs set to rise to 25% have sparked outrage in Europe and protests in Denmark, escalating tensions from trade to security. Meanwhile, the US has inked a major trade deal with Taiwan, lowering tariffs in exchange for massive investment in American semiconductor manufacturing. This move strengthens US-Taiwan ties and counters China, but also heightens regional friction. The administration is now mixing transactional deals with punitive measures, keeping allies and rivals off balance. The risk undermining fragile truces and sparking new conflicts. The global trade landscape remains volatile and unpredictable. The next chapter in trade policy is unfolding fast. Watch for the Trump administration's response. Will it seek new legal grounds for tariffs or push Congress for more power? The refund process for billions in tariffs will test government efficiency and impact business finances. Will lower tariffs mean lower prices for consumers, or will companies pocket the savings? Internationally, all eyes are on the escalating US-Europe dispute over Greenland and the deepening US-Taiwan partnership. China's response, and Canada's separate deal with Beijing, could reshape alliances. The world of global commerce is shifting. Uncertainty is the only constant.